What's going on, smart people? Last semester, I took graduate courses in classical mechanics, mathematical methods for physics, and the first part of a two-part course in quantum mechanics. And before the semester started, I gave my predictions on which classes I thought were going to be the easiest, hardest, and most enjoyable. Today, I'd like to do the same thing for this next semester. I will leave a link in the description so that you can see the prediction video and the, results from last semester. That way you can see sort of expectation versus reality. Spoiler alert, they were all really challenging for me. There were ones that I enjoyed more than others, but for the most part, any difficulty that one had over another was sort of marginal. So I'm going to factor that into these predictions this time. This semester, I am taking the second part of that two-part course in quantum mechanics. I'm also taking statistical mechanics as well as computational physics. And two of those three classes, namely quantum and statistical mechanics, are taught by professors I had last semester. My quantum professor last semester is teaching quantum this semester, and my classical mechanics professor is teaching statistical mechanics this semester. And since two of those three classes have had those professors before, I know how they ask questions. I think I'll be able to paint a better picture in my head of what to expect for this semester, especially since one of them is just the second part of the same class. So for that, I think I know exactly what to expect. Okay, I've talked enough, let's get into it. I think the class that is most likely to bend me over a barrel and show me the 50 states is going to be statistical mechanics. My reasoning for this is just my experience with undergrad. When I was in my thermodynamics/statistical mechanics course, as I've said before, that was one of the toughest courses for me in undergrad. The difficulty mainly came from the thermodynamics, the classical thermo aspect of the course, but there still was a lot of overlap. With statistical mechanics, you describe macroscopic things microscopically, and you end up recovering the laws of thermodynamics, so there is a huge overlap with it, which was still pretty tough for me. I don't think I really developed that intuition for thermodynamics in undergrad, so I think this course will probably have the largest learning curve. It's just one of those classes that is kind of a lot like classical mechanics. It's just always underestimated by students. Next, I'm going to switch into what will be the easiest and also what will be the most enjoyable. It's going to be the same class, or at least I'm predicting it to be so. And when I say easiest, take that with a grain of salt. I have a suspicion that all of these are going to be super hard. I don't see this being any easier than last semester. But I think that the easiest and most enjoyable course will be computational physics. My reasoning for this, well, at this point I think I'm self-aware enough to know what my strengths and weaknesses are as a physics student, and one of my strengths is coding. My first research internship was very computationally intensive. I actually had to learn to code for that one. My senior thesis was as well. My computational physics course I did extremely well in, and that's the reason I got another internship at Jefferson Lab that was super computationally intensive. So I know that I'm not bad at it, and I also know how much I enjoy it. Having said all that, I have been reassured that this class is no joke. Expect to walk out with a couple scratches. It is not as easy as I think it will be, which is completely fine because nothing is ever easy for me. I haven't had to write any big boy codes in a while. It's been months, so I'm pretty eager to take this class. But then the next question is, where does quantum mechanics fit in all this? Because hardest is going to be statistical mechanics, easiest / most enjoyable is going to be computational. I would honestly place quantum as kind of all of them and none of them at the same time. That's both a joke and not a joke. Last semester, quantum mechanics was really hard. Like, the homeworks took me forever, the quizzes were hard, the tests were hard, they were all fair. It was not an easy course. I kind of struggled with it.
Still got that A though.
But it's also it's also the physics that's kind of the most intuitive for me. I can really picture the math the easiest because one of my strongest maths is linear algebra, and quantum mechanics is just riddled with that, which makes that course a little bit easier for me. And it's quantum mechanics. It's going to be enjoyable. It's talking about particles, probabilities, and there are just so many interesting topics in quantum, and now that we're starting to get a little bit deeper, it's still going to be stuff that we've reviewed in undergrad or we've gone over in undergrad, but at a much more in-depth level, which I'm excited for. So overall, I'm super excited for this next semester. StatMech is one of those things. It's kind of my classical mechanics this semester. It was something that I didn't feel that great at in undergrad, so it's nice to be getting a second exposure to it in grad school. Quantum's always awesome. Computational's always awesome. Bring it on. Let me know in the comment section, what class are you most excited to take this next semester? Actually, go down the line. Hardest, easiest, and most enjoyable. What are your predictions? And I will see you guys there.